For the longest time, we've had this picture in our heads of Neanderthals as this failed experiment of evolution. But what if that's not the whole story? Not even close. What if their story is actually our story? Well, today, we're going to take a closer look at our long-lost cousins.
So when I say the word Neanderthal, what pops into your head? Is it that classic image of a primitive, kind of brutish caveman? Or is it something else? Maybe family? For a really long time, science seemed to have a pretty simple answer. But let me tell you, that answer is being completely torn up and rewritten as we speak.
And yeah, that was the standard view for decades, that they were this failed experiment, right? A less intelligent branch on the family tree that just, poof, died out. We saw them as totally separate, a dead end. But as we're about to find out, that simple story, it couldn't be more wrong.
Which brings us to the moment that changed, well, everything. The big discovery that just turned our whole understanding of human evolution on its head. And the craziest part, it wasn't found in some dusty cave or at a fossil dig. Nope, it was found inside of us, inside our very own cells.
So in 2010, scientists did something that was basically science fiction just a few years earlier. They sequenced the entire Neanderthal genome. And when they put it side by side with our own DNA, they found something absolutely shocking. It turns out, when our Homo sapiens ancestors started moving out of Africa, they didn't just compete with the Neanderthals they met.
Just to give you some perspective, let's put this on a timeline. We're talking about a huge period of overlap here. For literally tens of thousands of years, our two groups of humans were living in the same places. They were competing, sure, but they were also coexisting. And as we now know for a fact, they got to know each other really well.
That's right, they interbred. This one, simple fact, is what changes everything. This wasn't just some big war for survival and dominance. It was a story of connection. Our ancestors and Neanderthals, they had kids together. Just think about that for a second. The implications are absolutely staggering.
Okay, so what does that actually mean for us sitting here today? Well, it all comes down to this number, 1 to 4%. What is that? Well, that's the amount of Neanderthal DNA that a lot of us, people alive right now, are carrying around inside of us.
Yeah, you heard that right. If your ancestors came from anywhere outside of Africa, chances are you have a small, but really significant piece of the Neanderthal genome in you. Their legacy isn't just some bones in a museum. It is literally written in our DNA. It's like this direct genetic echo from a world that existed 50,000 years ago.
So, okay, we have these ancient genes, but what are they actually doing? I mean, this isn't just some neat little facts you find on an ancestry report. This inheritance has real, tangible effects on our bodies right now, sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse.
You can really think of this genetic legacy as a kind of double-edged sword. So on one hand, some of these genes were super helpful. As our ancestors moved into new places like Europe and Asia, they ran into all sorts of new germs and diseases. The Neanderthal genes, which were already adapted to that environment, gave their immune systems a huge critical boost. But then there's the flip side. Some of those very same ancient genes are now being linked to modern health issues, things like allergies, problems with blood clotting, and even depression.
And this is exactly why this whole discovery is so incredibly important. It's not just about digging up the past. By studying our Neanderthal inheritance, researchers are getting brand new insights into why we get sick today. It's wild to think, but our ancient family history might actually hold the keys to developing future treatments.
So when you put all this genetic evidence together, it forces us to completely rethink our relationship with Neanderthals. They aren't just some dusty old curiosity from a forgotten era. No, they are a fundamental part of who we are.
That old idea of a sharp, clear line between us, Homo sapiens, and them, the Neanderthals, well, that line has gotten incredibly blurry. I mean, how can they really be them when pieces of them are literally inside so many of us? This whole thing challenges the way we even define our own species. So here's the big takeaway. Neanderthals were not a failure. Not by a long shot. They were an incredibly successful, incredibly resilient group of humans. They survived ice ages, and they thrived for hundreds of thousands of years, way longer than we Homo sapiens have even been around. So their disappearance from the fossil record, it wasn't really an ending. It was more of a merging, a continuation of their genetic story through us.
And that really says it all, doesn't it? The story of the Neanderthals is the story of us. Their story of survival, of adaptation, of connection, that's our story too.
We're not the sole main characters here. We're just one part of a much bigger, more complicated, and way more interconnected human family. And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If this group of humans that we thought was totally separate, totally extinct, is actually a living, breathing part of our own identity, then who are we, really? It kind of seems like the answer is a whole lot more complex and a whole lot more fascinating than any of us ever imagined.